Welcome to Mind Shield. We protect the mind and pursue the truth. Let's get started.
Welcome to Mind Shield. Today, we're really digging into instrumentation. Look, we're going to learn the discipline of measurement, so the readings you take actually build your case instead of accidentally tearing it down. It's all about cutting through the noise and turning what feels like confusing data into credible, hard evidence.
So, let's start with probably the most important point of this entire explainer. A meter, it doesn't prove why something is happening. It doesn't prove intent. Your goal isn't to run around looking for some smoking gun. No, your goal is to collect disciplined, reliable data about a signal. Because when you use your tools the right way, that data, well, it starts to speak for itself.
Before we even think about turning on a device, we have to make a pretty big shift in our mindset. We have to move away from, just chasing weird feelings or random anomalies and move toward establishing a verifiable, factual record of what's going on in our environment.
Honestly, your real superpower in this whole process is what we call evidence discipline. It's all about being really rigorous in separating what you observe from what you interpret. That clean separation, that is the absolute foundation of building a credible case file that any professional is going to take seriously.
Okay, this slide just lays it out perfectly. Look at the difference. On the left, you have these vague, subjective anecdotes. I felt a zap. Well, what does that mean? But look at the right. That's evidence. It's specific. It's documented. We've got the time, the location, the exact measurement, and a physical symptom. We've moved away from just feelings, and we're now building a real data set that can actually be analyzed.
All right, let's get into the most common mistake people make, and it's a big one. People only take out their meters when something feels wrong. And that approach, it creates totally useless, context-free data. Credible, believable measurement always starts by first understanding what's normal for your space. So a baseline is your reference point. Think of it like the before picture. Without it, some random high reading you get is completely meaningless. Why? Because you have absolutely no way to prove that reading is unusual for that specific time and that specific place. The baseline is what gives your data context, and that's what gives it power. And here's the protocol for actually doing it. Consistency is everything. You've got to pick the same spots, measure the same times, and do it under normal, boring conditions. And please, pay attention to step 4. It's a quick reality check. Before you start, just walk over to your Wi-Fi router with your meter. See if it registers a signal. This super simple check confirms your equipment is even working properly.
Okay, so once you have a reliable baseline, you can start building on it. The next step is using controls. This is how you start to isolate variables. This is really where you shift from just passively measuring to actively investigating.
This is basically how you test a hypothesis. Just like in a science class. A control is just a simple comparison that helps you answer the question, is this reading different because of X, or is it something else entirely? It's how you methodically start ruling out other possibilities. And these controls can be really simple, but also really powerful. For instance, a location control. If a signal disappears when you move from the living room to the bedroom, that's a huge clue. A temporal control. If readings are normal every Tuesday at 9 p.m., but they're off the charts this Wednesday at 9 p.m., that's a pattern. And a device control. If you flip a breaker and the signal vanishes, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. Each one helps you narrow the focus. All right, think of it this way. If your measurements are the bricks, then your logbook is the mortar. It is what holds the entire structure of your case together and gives it real strength. Without it, you really just have a pile of disconnected numbers. I can't say this enough. An undocumented reading is just a number floating in space. But a fully documented reading, that becomes a piece of evidence. The context you record is just as important as the measurement itself.
So the crucial point here is to create a complete, multi-layered snapshot of any incident. You are not just jotting down a number. You are capturing everything: the time, the exact location, your symptoms, the meter reading, and yes, even take a photo of the meter screen and its settings. Noting things like signal direction or what else is going on in the environment preserves the full context for later analysis, either by you or by an expert.
And this brings us to a really critical concept from the world of digital forensics: chain of custody. All it means is creating a clear, chronological record of who handled the evidence, when they handle it, and how. For you, it means keeping your original log file safe, always working from copies, and documenting every single step you take. This is what ensures the integrity of your data.
So after all this disciplined collection, your data might start to show a pattern that's so clear and so repeatable that it's time to bring in the professionals. But the big question is, how do you know when you've actually reached that point? Before you pick up the phone, you really have to ask yourself, and you have to be honest, is my body of evidence strong enough to actually stand up to scrutiny? Does it meet the critical thresholds that a professional is going to be looking for?
So if you can confidently check these boxes, then congratulations. You've successfully moved beyond a collection of personal experiences, and you've created a body of evidence. A repeatable pattern, one that's backed by data from your control trials, and ideally is even corroborated by somebody else. Well, that's something a professional can actually work with. This slide shows you the lawful discipline path to getting that third-party validation. And let's be crystal clear, this path is not about confrontation. It's about being a credible witness to your own data. That means no trespassing, no dangerous experiments, just lawful measurement in your own spaces. You start by engaging certified TSCM experts. Then you can file a formal complaint with your data log to a regulatory body like the FCC. And finally, you can seek legal advice. This is how you use all your hard work effectively and safely.
Finally, let's talk about how to completely ruin your readings. It's just as important to understand the common mistakes that can completely undermine all of your hard work and get your entire case dismissed out of hand.
You have to avoid these common meter doom spirals. Chasing spikes just creates noise, not a clear signal. Constantly changing your methods makes finding a pattern absolutely impossible. And jumping to conclusions, well, that just destroys your credibility. Your role is to be a disciplined data collector. That's it. Stick to the protocol and let the data build the story for you.
So the main thing you should take away from all this is that methodical, disciplined data collection is your single most powerful tool. It transforms you from just a victim into an investigator. Join us next time as we dive into pattern analysis, and we'll explore how to find meaningful signatures in the data without fooling yourself.